Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday night, so that means it's Arkansas Motorsports Magazine's Tuesday Night Tune-Up, and we're coming to you from Greenbrier, Arkansas tonight, here at the Cunningham Race Shop. And we want to thank Lonnie and Kirk Cunningham for inviting us here tonight. And on tonight's show, we have Jimmy Havens, Kyle Cunningham, and Kirk Cunningham, who was the 2020 Super Pro Drag Racing Champion down at the Prescott Dragway. And we want to thank our sponsors for tonight, Chambers Bank, with 28 locations throughout Arkansas, True Grid Auction Company, Arkansas's #1 online auction company, and be sure to check them out this week, Heath. I think they got two very big auctions going, a lot of heavy equipment in one and tools in the other. So True Grid Online Auctions. We want to thank our friends up in Batesville, Arkansas at Shaw Race Cars for all their help with what we do. We also want to thank Skyway Buick GMC in Joplin, Missouri. Are you doing the Skyway thing this week?
I haven't talked to Mooney, so I don't know what his plans are.
So, but like I said, if you want to buy a good vehicle, go on Skyway Buick GMC's website. It's easy to do on the website or over the phone. Give those folks a call. We also want to thank Kevin Rogers of KR Performance Fuels for all he does for us. We're right here in Greenbrier, so we got to say a big thank you to Straight Line Transmissions for everything Caleb does for us. Weston Petroleum, 4Play Speed and Muffler Shop, and Ecky's Parts and Accessories down in Little Rock. So Heath, we'll move it over to you for this week's latest and breaking racing report, brought to you by Weston Petroleum.
I-30 had some great races this weekend. Dirt track racing. Batesville had the Bad Boy 98. Davenport up there.
He was just awesome both nights.
Pretty neat to watch that. Did hear, and I was talking to Kurt and Bill about it, that Newport is going to be firing back up, so that's kind of something that's been talked about a little bit now. Don't know when that's going to happen, but that's...
Well, it's always encouraging news when any type of racing facility is opening or reopening in Arkansas, because it just helps the sport.
Yeah, so that drag strip reopening back up. Y'all got to run in Centerville.
We had Prescott
This past week.
Saturday, Jackie's place down there.
Okay, yeah. And Jackie's got some good racing going on.
He's got some big stuff coming
Yeah,
up.
got some big stuff coming up.
He had a big one this weekend, but his big stuff's coming up here soon.
And I also want to add in, like I said, we were going through the sponsor. We did, also want to thank Prescott Raceway and Central Dragway for all they do for Arkansas Motorsports Magazine. And before we get out of here, I want to go back to the Bad Boy 98 just a little bit. The modified racing up there was
There was some great racing.
Wendell Wallace won on Friday night, and I want to say something about Saturday night's modified race. Rusty Jeffries from Batesville, Arkansas drove one of the best races I've ever seen him drive in his career.
It was good. A lot of good races. I mean, there was, John Wall had a great heat race.
And a good feature. And I want to throw this in. John done it on an open trailer Saturday night. So, kudos to John for towing in on an open trailer and getting it done. So,
yeah, there was a lot of good racing in the IMCA stock cars, both places. I-30 and Batesville were both good racing. That's enjoying watching.
the car count in that class just continues to grow across the state of Arkansas. So, well, that's good. Anything else you got there?
I don't have anything else right now.
All right, like I said,
May come up with something for long.
Well, you just, like I said, people that was watching the Flow Racing telecast Saturday night just kept texting me about they kept mentioning your name on the telecast Saturday night. So,
yeah,
I'm not sure how that came about. If I can find out, it won't happen again. But, just kidding. But anyway, we're here in one of our favorite towns. There's something about Greenbrier, Arkansas. It's just filled with drag racers and stock car racers.
All kinds of racers.
All kinds of racers. And we appreciate you guys joining us tonight. And who wants to go first tonight?
It's kind of one of those deals, the way we usually kind of started, who goes first, but
I'll let you start it off.
Well, one of those deals, I mean, we're gonna go with, you know, we always let I'm not gonna say elders. Go first. You know, we want to talk about how, I guess basically how we do, you know, how you got started in drag racing and how you got going.
I
in
just
drag
got kind of started on my own. I mean, I just picked it up, you know.
You say one of those you had to crank it to get it to go.
But anyway, it was like early '60s.
Okay.
First time I ever went down drag, it was Carlisle in a 50-mile Oldsmobile.
Carlisle, there was lots of good racing in Carlisle.
Yes, it was. It was good. I raced there, Newport, Stuttgart. Remember Stuttgart?
No, sir.
I did race at Stuttgart.
I've done some research and saw where they get after extra at one time.
Sure. I flew around, stayed in it for several years. On that little car a year or two. Stepped up to a 55 Chevy. Don't tell nobody, because I'm a Ford man now. Anyway, no, I had a lot of fun at it. I just picked it up, done it on my own, you know. And I was working for Tom Ford later, 65, I bought a Fairlane, and I had more fun there, I guess, I had anything. I raced it for several years. One thing led to another. Raced till they closed Carlisle in
And that was in
89.
89.
That's what I was thinking, 89.
I was graduating high school, yeah.
Somewhere along in there, and then in the meantime, I bought a little car that I give Chad that he's driving now. I had bought it, and I went back to race that 79.
Oh, you're gonna skip that good Nova you had, you're gonna skip the other car.
Yeah,
that you
well,
had.
I want to hear about the note.
Yeah, you skipped that Nova you had, you won a lot of races.
no Fords.
Yeah, we don't wanna hear about no Fords.
Well, I did have Nova, yeah.
You won a lot of races in that Nova, that's probably the best car you had.
Well, it was,
Second best?
it was all right.
Okay.
No, it was a good car. It was a good car.
Good driver.
We had two Novas. I had two
Really?
Novas. You know, me and Marty had the yellow.
Oh, the Marty had the yellow.
But anyway, I raced until they closed it back down the second time. You know. Had a lot of fun drag racing. Still like it.
Yeah,
I
good to
give
see
the
you.
car Chad got me, I gave that to him several years ago. And I have about as much fun going, or have as much fun going with him now. as I
Going,
did.
watching, helping, and.
Yeah, trying to keep him straight.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
What and I remember as a young kid, you racing the Nova. And talk about drag racing back then and how it differs from what we do today. I mean, what are a lot of the differences?
Back then, the Novas I had, we was already bracket racing, you know.
Okay.
And I don't know if I see a whole lot of difference in the classes. I mean, you know, with stuff like I run and stuff. Now, up in the, like these boys run and stuff, I'm sure it's quite a bit of difference in it, you know, but I don't see a whole lot of difference in it. Once it was into bracket racing, all mine was, you know, when we was running the HRA, you know, class racing and stuff, you know, it was totally different.
We'll talk a little bit about
You know,
the class racing versus the bracket racing that we're so accustomed to today.
Yeah, well, now when I run a class race, it wasn't, you didn't have much problem if you was on your game, you know, winning your class maybe, but when they went to line you up to run for the money at the end of the show, them 4 or 5 spots you got out there wasn't very much on some good cars.
That's kind of like what I heard with Dad.
It was really tough.
If you were a G-Stock stick car and your national record was a 12:10 and you raced another car and the national record was 10:50, y'all car linked one another. You didn't have a handicap tree, did you?
No.
You just rolled them out there. They might be in the marbles and on the good stuff.
For instance, up my 55 Chevy, I run P-Stock. The most you could get on a A-Stock car was 4 lengths.
Oh, that was it. Okay, I see where it could be an easy win for you.
Yeah, they flagged you off with a four car length spot. You better be on your toes or you fix to get blown by, you know.
4 weeks ain't much on A-Stop.
No.
And what years would this have been?
1928.
Late sixties,
1928.
late sixties,
And I guess,
60.
and
66, 7, and 8, long in there, when I was running that.
And when you started, it was with a flagger?
Flagger, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
No lights, it was with a flagger. And
That's what I'm talking about, when you spot it, you better know the flagman too.
that's what I'm saying. And it's saying that, that's one of those things, if you sit there and watch the flagman enough, you catch little routines or something that he's doing, that way you kind of got an idea of when to go before he ever's dropping that flag.
Yes, I always, that's one guy you want to be a good friend.
I always want to hate that.
They had, some of them would actually jump before he dropped the flag.
Would they make, what would they?
Like what he do, he wanted to say it, Kirk. And Kirk, he said he nodded his head, and then he pointed to me, out my head. Well, I always told him, I said, you point to the other guy first. When you nod your, when you point to me, I nod my head, I'm gone.
Flag better be dropped.
He dropped the flag, yeah. You know, no joke, that's the way it was, though. And you could jump the flag.
I just didn't know if they called you back or actually say that, how, I could see there being some fights.
And it was the same
There
way on the
was.
finish line.
Said somebody standing
Somebody
by
there said he won, you know.
So you need to be friends with the other end too.
Little sign right there.
It was a lot easier to win a race back there than it is nowadays, because there's some so close down there. If you standing down there looking at them now, you couldn't tell which one would win, you know. But that machine will for you. I mean,
What was the first race with an electronic timer you went to?
No, I don't even remember, Kyle.
Wow.
What, and it's saying that, Kyle, what was the difference? I mean, you've been used to the flag, and then all of a sudden, you get to a track and it's got the tree. Did that kind of blow your mind? Or
It
was
did. And I said, man, that guy, I don't even remember the first one I was at, but
I think Dad told me he remembers
Like an 80s, 70s?
Stuttgart, Carlisle, Newport having a tree in '68. I could be wrong. I swear, I think he said '68 before, after he went in the military or after, I can't remember. He remembers a tree.
I think the first place I run where they had a tree was over at Lake of Memphis.
I remember him talking about Lakeland as a kid.
Well, I lived at Hello, you know, and still, I think it was in '68. But I don't think Newport didn't have a man. I'm not sure.
I can't remember.
In Carlisle, either, really, I don't think.
The old man won the G-Stock stick in '69 at Newport, am I right? And did it have a tree? He can't remember that far back then.
I think it's flagged. I think it was. I think it flagged us then.
It's still flagging in Arkansas in '69.
I think so.
Wow. Crazy. We come a long way.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm meeting that kind of buddy, and that kind of brings a story that came up here lately about people talking about tracks. And about people talking about how good these cars are nowadays. Me and Kyle were talking about it and stuff. It's not just the cars anymore, it's the tracks.
That's true.
I know some of these track promoters hate prepping the tracks, but it's made it safer for us and it's made the racing so much closer. The racing is, before you were looking at, if you could run, within 2 numbers and be 20 on the tree, no. You gotta be 11, you gotta be 15 or better total now. Total, I mean, reaction time and your dial, you need to be 15 or better total every round. It's nice to be 00 and, 008, 009, 6 total. I think Kyle did that 3 times this weekend. He was 002, he was 2 thou total 1 round, 4 thou total another round. And then in the final, you took 2 thou's finish line margin. I think I gave it back to the guy.
No, we were both 13 and I was holding a couple that I knew and he changed lanes. But I think he put the same dial he had on his in the semis.
Yeah.
And I said, I think that right lane's quicker, so I kept a 70 on it. And I just went down there and dumped and he broke out and I broke out less. But
I mean, that's
So
hard.
mine
to do.
picked up a little bit more. I thought I was holding maybe 1.5 on it, and like holding 2.
Like
But
run-
you bring up an interesting point about the track prep. Jimmy, back in those days, you just showed up and run.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, it
With a 6-inch tire problem.
I never did see nothing going out there and sweeping it down or dragging it or nothing like that, you know.
True.
But,
That's correct. You know, when you, wow.
back in those days when you were racing, who were some of your toughest competitors back in those days?
I guess Jack Mullen's the toughest guy I ever
Because
rode.
he was a Helena, Arkansas guy too,
Yeah.
as well. so.
Dad talked about him helping him along.
When I lived in Helena, our shops was about a quarter mile apart.
Wow.
I had a shop.
I remember you telling me that.
His the same way, he's still there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Still racing.
Yeah, Jack was tough.
Still tough when he does race. And I know he don't race very much.
Yeah, I know Jack.
He's come down here to the the Hall of Fame race or whatever, and he's done good 2 years in a row.
Yeah, he still does it. I used to like to watch some of them. You remember the Dixie Jumper?
Yes, I've heard about it.
Can't think of the guy's name now. He was a little 65 comic car. That was one of my favorite cars to watch back in the day when I was drag racing. That's when they made them old gassers out of them, you know, put the straight axles under them. Boy, he had, you know, boy, it was awesome to watch.
I bet.
Fun car to watch.
But, you know, back in those days, like I said, you talked about racing in Carlisle a lot, and Carlisle was somewhat famous throughout the United States and got a lot of great drag racers into that facility out there. And, you know, it came from all over. So, you know, you guys that were racing out there, you know, definitely got the opportunity to taste the talent from all across the United States.
Yes. They come out of Memphis, overall, they come from everywhere around there.
I guess that being centrally located was a good spot. You know, I've heard like that Herb McCandless, like people tell stories, like Steve Hayes telling stories about the big names that rolled through the gate there. But, you know, Big Daddy and some of them other ones, it's pretty impressive for a little small track.
But, you know, like I said, we were talking about the prejudice, is there other things about the racing facilities back then that you see these days that you didn't see back then? I mean, is there just comparing the ages, you know, maybe talking about where the sports come to these days?
We got asphalt now instead of gravel.
Well, yeah, it's all so much better nowadays than what it was back then. I mean, from parking on, I mean, you know, it just,
Yeah.
and it's everything. It's just much, just better. There wasn't a whole lot there.
If you look at old photos and videotape, the crowds that the races would bring in back then, especially at Carlisle, were just huge.
Now, that's one
huge.
thing. At Carlisle, that sideline would be lined up 2 or 3 deep from one end of that quarter mile to the other. And spectators.
And not that we don't get those people out to the sport anymore, but why do you think these days we don't see the huge crowds like we used to?
I don't know. I don't understand that. I really
I
don't.
think a lot of
Just
people
so
are
much.
interested in different things now. than
There's
back
so
in
much
the day.
going on now, different things going on.
Gotta be something like that.
I think it's growing though. But I think it's growing is, they started that, Watney has started that GPI, if I'm saying it right. I know they have a big race down at Prescott. I don't know if they're doing anything at Centerville with their street nights. But that seems to be growing. What I mean by growing, it's like the new Mustangs, Camaros, GTOs, the Cadillacs. And they got classes for those guys where almost like the 70s and 60s where it's almost like you're not index racing, but you can't, if you run a power out or you're in this class, if you don't run one this and blah, blah, blah. And it seems like it's pretty good racing, but it's fairly expensive to me compared to bracket racing. But there's guys that like to do it.
You can carry one off the lot and go racing.
You can carry one off the lot and go racing.
Like at Centerville over a Saturday night, you know, they had the index racing. Then they had some small tire and big tire, you know, and outlaw cars and stuff. There was a huge amount of people there.
They love to
You
watch
put
the
the
guardrail
dirt-
chasers.
Man, they was thick. They
You
was
see it a lot at those races. I think people love the small tire deals, because we call them guardrail chasers.
Yeah,
That and the outlaw guys, I mean, they're
yeah.
excited.
Give anything to see somebody wreck.
Well, they don't understand bracket racing. Nobody wants to come watch something they don't understand.
And something else, you're in the time frame. What was it like when drag racing made the switch, especially here in Arkansas, kind of from class racing to bracket racing? What was the sentiment
Oh, yeah.
when the switch was kind of made all over to go from class racing to bracket racing?
I thought, to myself, I thought, well, I don't know, yeah, that's gonna work, you know,
Yeah.
really. You know, I thought everything had to be here, definitely check the cubic inch and all that stuff, you know, weight, put you in place, you know, but I really think it's better like it is. I really do. Or
Was there, and like I said, this was,
I think you got better chance of winning, right?
Yes.
Like, put it that way.
did you have people that didn't, and I'm sure you did you have those racers that didn't want a bracket race, that just kind of held out for a little while?
Yeah, yeah. I had some friends that said, no, I'll just quit before I do that, you know, but they got back in it.
To me, stock, super stock, comp eliminator,
Yeah.
won't care what you call it, 6070 is bracket racing.
That's right.
You can't tell them, but me and Jimmy argue, we don't argue about it, we agree on it. I don't wanna go bracket racing, blah, 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 because they don't wanna run a dragster, or they don't wanna run a fast door car, but they go up there 6.0 racing, and you got my dad up there with a 550, 580 door car running 7.0, and he's 20 mile an hour and somebody on 7.0. It's the same thing.
Your
He's
dad
still,
would do that.
he's still back 7, 8 car lengths at the 330.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing if he dialed 580 and they dialed 650.
Right. Your dad would do that.
Oh yeah, that's the whole game. Chases the race. I'm gonna be honest with me. I know Kyle doesn't see, so I see this kid can race a tricycle, but I do better chasing. The older I've gotten, I used to be where it wasn't that bad for me coming up on it. Matter of fact, I raced D-Fitch Saturday night. I lose by 5/10,000 of a second. I give it back to him. I'm 005 on the tree, 2 thou under. Not no, yeah, 2 thou under or something like that, or dead on. I can't remember, but I give the finish line back. No, you're right. I was dialed 11 or 12, and I give him the finish line back by 5,000. He's 13 on the tree, dead 6. I'm watching him come up, and I'm saying he's not going to get there. I'll rip it twice, kill 2 mile an hour, and he gets a strike by 5/10,000. I just don't drive the other end as good as somebody chasing me. And he was only dialed 496. I'm dialed 512. It's not that much difference, but it was 10 mile an hour difference on the other end. He's running 146. I'm probably going to like go 133 wide open. I clip it too. He gets me.
Well, I think this bracket's better than the class was. Nowadays, I think it would be better.
Yeah.
And it was, of course, you know how the cheating was in that class stuff anyway, you know.
Ain't that what you was talking about a minute ago about people cheating dirt track racing?
Well, I'm just not saying that they're cheating, they're just,
Well,
People complain.
people complain. I think there's some people that complain that don't put the effort into it
That's
that
right.
they need to before they start complaining.
All the way they know if you cheat, that's P&G your car or something, you know, they check if you won, but.
For you brought up, and we'll skip over to you for just a second, Kurt. You brought out starting out. Let's, you know, one thing we always want to know is on the show is how somebody's racing career got started. And so, take us from when you started.
What got me at it was drag racing. I was probably 7 or 8 years old. My dad's been a racer, and he stopped racing in his military career. My dad served 20 years in the Navy, but my dad had some fast boats and stuff like that. And I just, you know, when you're a 70s kid, you're ate up with Evil Knievel or whatever, you just like hot rods unless there's something wrong with you. My dad had a 70 model Nova, had a 427 L88 motor, and I thought it was the baddest thing on the face of the earth. And that's back when you didn't have a car seat. And what probably got me hooked was right there. One day, I'm hanging out the back window, and he's messing with a Mustang. And he's pitching that thing sideways, second, third gear. I said, this is it right here. I'm going to be a drag racer when I grow up. This is it. Dad doing all well. I moved to Arkansas. My parents up and moved me to this podunk town in 1988 for some reason. And I graduated high school and I
I
built.
guess we can expect you not to be citizen of the year this year.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, my mama never thought that I would live in Arkansas. My parents moved me in my middle of my senior year because they thought, if I turned 18, my mama said he's not leaving. He's gonna stay here on the coast. I was a California kid. I love the coast and I love baseball and I love cars.
Well,
California kid,
my
man. I
kids
mean,
were
you get it
surfers.
out there.
My kids were surfers, they grew up on the coast.
Well, my dad had some nice Corvette and stuff, and well, anyway, when I got out of, my parents moved me here, and I fell in love with Greenbrier. I have some cousins here, you know, I fell in love with Robin here, and I built a truck. My dad helped me buy a truck that was half started on building, and I'm driving it to work. I mean, these kids nowadays, you know, they got a fast Mustang, it's faster, but my truck, I started got like 5 miles a gallon. I had a big block Chevrolet in it, and I raced it on the weekends on the street. My dad hated it. And I would take it to Centerville and Newport. I never took it to Prescott, but I had to drive my truck there. You know, you got 411s in a truck and this and that, steep gear, and you're driving it down the interstate, it ain't too good on them. Well, I got progressing in that truck going faster and faster, and I took all that stuff out and put it in a Monte Carlo. And I had a wreck right on here on this highway that y'all had. I got a guy, I was pulled off the side, I was testing it that day. Me and my brother were going to go street racing that Friday night. And we were playing with some timing and playing with some launches on it because I ran a certain tire on there and you got it feathered out of the hole and this and that. And I pulled off the side of the road going to let this truck go by. Lo and behold, it's one of my brother's high school football friends. He hits us in the back. I'm talking about he didn't hit us just a little bit either. It's like he ran off the road with us and hit us at 55 mile an hour. We're sitting dead still. When I get out of the ditch, I don't even know where the truck's at. He's off in the other ditch. He done hit us and turned around the other way. Dad comes and gets us right up the street and he says, when you gonna stop doing this shit and build you a real race car? Excuse my language. I said, well, I guess now. So I went and bought a Monza out of the, I don't know why, I spent like $2,500 on it, and my dad helped me put that car together. I told him, so it was a home-built race car. I mean, it was nothing special, but it was all right, it got me started. I raced it for about 2 years. That's back when you had bracket 1 and bracket 2, and you could run electronics in both. Well, I didn't have a delay box, I didn't have a two-step. I fared okay. Well, Dad got me hooked up with Phil Phillips. I drove for Phil Phillips for a while. Phil Phillips didn't want me to drive for him. He wanted Al Watkins to drive for him. Well, lo and behold, me and Al Watkins went to the final that day. I think that was probably one of the first times I ever done good. It took a couple years. I drove for Phil for a couple years, and Phil wasn't racing much on Saturday. I learned a lot from old man Phil. I know some people have a hard time with old Phil, but Phil did me pretty good. But car was fun to drive, that 57 sedan delivery. That was a showstopper looking car. It was fast. It was great to drive. I learned a lot from him. Well, he stopped racing a lot, so I said, Phil, I'm gonna start racing my car at Prescott a little bit, since you're not wanting to go all the time. He wasn't feeling good. Sometimes I know Phil's health trouble. And he just thought I wanted to quit. So he got Dad driving for him. He fired me and got Dad. Well, anyway, it moved on, and I wound up selling that Monza, and I bought my first dragster in 2000. I think Kyle even won yet?
Nope.
He was like, it was March, he was like 6 months from turning 1, and I kept that car for 18 years, and it was a Danny Nelson racecraft car. Everybody kept saying why I wouldn't change. Well, the car worked for where I raced it for how fast I went. And then, lo and behold, Kyle got this black car right here, and I drove it a couple weekends. I was chasing a converter problem in my car, which I didn't think it was a converter. And this smart aleck right here said, Dad, why don't you change the converter in there? That's your problem. I did good in that car 2 weekends in a row, back to back. And I told my wife on the way home, I said, I'm getting me a new race car. She said, the hell you are. I said, watch me. I said, I'll sell one anyway. I went and bought the red car over there. I brought it home, and I was sitting in the shop like this right here. Truck and trailer was still in the driveway. He came home from work on a Saturday, worked for Smith Ford. He goes, Dad, what's wrong? I said, I done screwed up. He goes to me, and I said, I shouldn't have bought that car. It's a little bit smaller than my car. Kyle went out there and looked at it. I said, don't tell your mama I'm going to sell the damn thing. He said, really? He goes, I like that car. It's a Bill Mullis car. It's a great car. It's got a little history around here. And he goes, well, I like that car. I said, you want to trade? He said, yeah, I'll trade with you. He saved my life. So I gave Kyle that red car. He gave me the black one. We switched all the stuff around. He said, I want my new wheels and I want my big motor. And I'm like, because I got the littlest motor of the family. All these guys got 580-inch motors. I'm still running 482 stuff. And I put that black car together, and that car's been great ever since. When I put that car back together, summer of 2018, I had the second owner of that car call me, and he offered me 3 times as much as what I paid for it and wanted it back. And I was like, nope. I said, I like it too much. I said, I'm gonna have to wear it out a little bit before I sell it.
I tried to get him to sell it.
Yeah, he tried to get me to sell. The guy his name's Harvey Owens. He's based out of BB. And the original owner of that car, his name was Buster Smith out of Star City, Arkansas. Hell of a racer. Him and his daddy both owned Star City Gravel. Buster bought that camera car, brand new. He passed away a few years later. Him and his wife had an automobile accident
Outside of Hot Springs.
outside of Hot Springs, doing stuff people shouldn't be doing. But, and Harvey drove that car, and Harvey and Buster were good friends. And that's sentimental to him, but I understand. I told him I will never let that car go. He'll be the first one to ever get it. But it's been good, man. I mean, it was one of the first cars I saw down here in the early 2000s going 470s back in the day, and it's worked with my combination. I don't run as hard as the other guys, and Kyle thinks that's what works for me, especially at these local tracks we go to. I mean, Dad and Kyle travel off a lot more than I do. But it's been a darn good one, but I don't think Kyle has been playing with his car since he put his new big motor in his car. That sucker's been, I can't think of 1 or 2 times that car ain't been right there all the time.
Good. Just surprised how fast it is for what it is.
Talk a little bit about the 2020 racing season.
2020 was a good year for me. 2018, I've had some good years. I got 3 track championships at Centerville. I could have a lot more if my dad wasn't racing. I've finished 7 times runner-up to his old ass. And out of 11 of them. And I love chasing points. A lot of guys don't, but I enjoy it. I don't know why. I like that prestige of winning a championship. That's kind of what I like to do. Well, Kyle graduated high school in 2017. I didn't get to race at Prescott very much. Kyle was very involved with baseball. We junior dragster race. Kyle has 5 championships in junior dragster racing. And we didn't get to race a lot on Saturday because we were playing baseball all the time. And he was, not to brag, he's fairly good, above average baseball player, league and travel. He didn't play AAA, but he played AA. And my dad was getting older then, and Kyle graduated high school, and I told my wife, I said, Dad's going to be retiring soon, and blah, blah. I said, I'm leaving the driveway every time he leaves. Not cut off, going to the lake and all that kind of stuff. And so 2019, I run for a championship down there at Prescott, and I wound up finishing 3rd. Was it third? And I don't remember what I did at Centerville, but anyway, 2019 it comes around, 2020 rolls around. I said I'm going to do it again because it's a lot for us to. It's a good distance down there and a race at Centerville back and back. You can spend quite a bit of money if you're not doing good. And it seemed like I couldn't do nothing wrong down there at Prescott. It was just everything. The double points races, and I won the fall national. I won the summer nationals race. I won the Tinker Green Memorial race. I think I runnered up or semied in the summer nationals, and the fall nationals. That's what got me. I led the points not led the points, but I was right there the whole second half at Centerville. I think Dad won the first half at Centerville, and it comes down to the end. And Centerville has a rain day, which we had awful weather, and the COVID thing last year was. Some of these tracks was awful. And I get down to the end, I'm juggling this. Okay, I wanted to run for a track championship at Prescott because if you won it, you have a chance to run for the IHRA World Finals. And that was the whole reason I was doing it, because there's a lot of prestige, and if you win that, that's a lot of money. It's like 20 grand, a ring, and all kind of stuff, a trip to Aruba and stuff. And I went down there and shot myself in the foot on that and gave the finish line back, just like I did last week to D. And I wound up winning it, but it came down to that spot. I was sitting there that morning at Prescott, Saturday race Saturday. I think I did good Saturday. Did I run her up or win? I won Saturday, didn't I?
I think so.
And then Sunday comes along and it was more money, and I was like, okay, do I go down to Centerville and enter in and drive back home, or do I race? Well, there was no time trial Sunday. And I was like, go down there and do it. And I said, no. I wound up racing, and I run Brian Hughes out of Texas in the final for the final of that. And I was like, Well, I can catch up to Centerville. Well, I wound up losing the points championship to a great guy named John Tripp. Gary Rimmer got second, but I was 3 points out of the first, and all I had to do was show up and I would have got 5. But John Tripp's a heck of a guy, and I was real happy for Gary Rimmer, a guy we're calling him Double O Rimmer all now. Matter of fact, I ran him 2 or 3 weeks ago in a final at Super Pro, and I got on the better end of that, but I just hated, I wanted to win one at both tracks so bad, and I had that right there in my hands, and it seemed like it just slipped right through my hands. You know, maybe I could have one up on my dad for once, because I can't get as many track championships as him, but I had a chance to maybe double up, get one at one track and one at the other, you know? Because Wayne Stiles even made that comment, Kyle had, I can't tell you how many track championships before I won one in '09. It's like, Kirk ain't never gonna get one. I was like the loser of the family.
And then along comes Kyle, and Kyle, tell us about the beginnings of your drag race career. Obviously, it wasn't easy when you grow up with Lonnie Cunningham
Well,
as
mine's
your
not as
grandfather,
interesting as theirs.
and Kurt as your dad. What did you sense a little bit of pressure? Maybe not in the junior dragster days.
Well, honestly, when I was probably 6 or 7, I wasn't even that interested. I started racing bicycles at like 5 and 6 years old. I played a lot of baseball, and I think towards the middle of being about 7.5 years old, I would finally understand like what a spark plug was. So I kind of more or less got interested, and we started looking around. I raced what do you call it? You can rent that little junior they used to have. Now it's
Track junior.
those little you can rent for like $40.
Emerson, you saw the one that, their little, Reese is
Yeah.
getting it right now.
Yeah.
They made it really nice. And Caleb and Amber redid that car. It's really nice now.
And it went like, it went like 40 mile an hour. I didn't weigh nothing. And I actually did pretty good. I went like semis, but there wasn't a whole lot of people there. And I'm like, hey, I got the semi, and I got the bug. And
Yeah.
so that Christmas, they bought me one. Mike Moorhead's, it's sitting up there. That was the body on it. And
Jeff Brotherton
took
talked
off
me into
from there.
buying that car, and I tell you what, that's probably one of the, I don't know, that was a great decision. You know, you usually make some decisions, okay, but I mean, when I bought that car from Moorhead, that was a great,
We never had
he
to
was
work
on me a
on
great
it.
car.
Never had to work on it. It was a great car. It took me, I did okay first half year, and then
Tell the truth, you wanted to go fast as you can go the first year.
yeah, well, I wanted to go fast, and I didn't. I'm still a small guy. I didn't weigh nothing, and the car hauled butt. It could go 720s when I was 7 years old, or 8 years old. And when I finally started being able to leap right on that bottom bulb, the car was fast enough you could leap on that bottom bulb. I'd be red. So. And he talked me into, we put weight in, we put like
I said,
80
"You wanna start
pounds in it.
Interrupt me, he said, I said, you ready to start winning, or you want to just play around? He goes, yeah, Dad, I want to start winning.
So we did that. We slowed it down. From the time I was probably 8 or 9, it ran 7 80s, 90s. It might have touched some 70s till I was 16
15.
years old. 16, I was probably 15 years old when we got rid of it. And I had real good success in it. And when I started, it really took off when I got to drive his car at about 14 years old. And that's when I really got the bug.
That made some people mad, and I didn't mean to make anybody mad, honestly.
But
I was so
more
ate up
fun.
with it, he was ate up with it, and I wanted him being with me. I put him in my car at 14, so he got his learning permit. And some people downfalled on that, but I was like, hey guys, let your kid drive your car too. I said, I'm just letting him. And then my dad went through some surgeries there when he was 15, and he got to drive Dad's car and all that. When he was going low 470s, it was like, he's done. And like Dad said, we had run the course in the junior, what'd you say? It's hard when you're 15 years old and you're running 9-year-olds and 10 years old, no disrespect. It's just, the competition, like when he raced Christy Gills and Kendra Lynch and things like that, and Peyton Mullins, when those kids racing, they racing. But when they pull up the line, they're racing a young kid, it's not as,
It
the
just kind of
competition out
got
there.
to the point where you're not really getting any better. It was fun. I was winning a lot. I was running both cars a couple times. I won in both classes at a young age, and I was on top of the world.
Yeah.
But it just got to a point where you need to get out of the junior. I'm just.
All right, do this for us. You, the first time you sat in the big dragster, and you pull up to the line, what are you feeling different in there that, as compared to sitting there in the junior register at your age?
Well.
First, when you first started or now?
Yeah, the
First,
first
I remember
pass.
Okay, the first pass I had, it was at Prescott. I don't even think I was 14 yet. Jackie was gonna let me drive. Centerville was more strict with having a learner's permit and this and that. We got on there, I remember to this day, we took the wrong exit. We had to go all the way around.
Oh, yeah, we were talking, I took the wrong exit, and been going down there for 30 years.
Well, it was just a testing tune Friday night, we were possibly gonna race on Saturday or something like that, and he had that same motor, same combo and that, it runs 5 teams with him, and we leave it alone, and I go up there and left-hand lane, make a burnout.
Right-hand lane.
No, it was left-hand lane.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It was a left-hand lane, we left it alone just like he was gonna be driving. You know, I'm not really nervous, did a burnout, felt good, you know, and I warmed the cars up, I drive them around, I pretty much know what everything was. And I let go of the button, it leaves a starting line, it gets to go in high gear, and then wants to go to the other lane.
Yeah.
We get back to the pits, and Jackie's like, why not run this left-hand lane?
We done run it twice.
Well, we tried it again, I don't even think he went down the track. Well, and he said, we ain't even prepping that lane.
Yeah.
That was like the little street tire class, you know, right lane was prepped, left lane, and we went in the right-hand lane, I think I made 3 licks and went the same number every time.
We said we're ready.
But I mean, I guess the question is, when you're sitting there in the cockpit, and you're kind of looking around, was there differences
Between the two.
that ran through your mind?
Well,
between the
it
two?
sounded a lot better, because them juniors are annoying. It definitely sounded better. But, I mean, I've been around it so much, it just felt like, and honestly, a junior, especially mine, was pretty quick, and them things do not drive good at all. Especially if
Okay.
it's a little windy,
Oh,
or
yeah.
nothing, especially mine had about a 1/2 inch of slop in the steering wheel.
No, it
It
didn't.
was, when it got windy, you had to finesse them.
Now, we know you didn't sit down in it.
No.
But,
So we're gonna take his word for the sloppiness of the steering, so.
well, it didn't have like a spline, it had like just a hex.
It had a hex style steering wheel. The hex style steering wheel, they got a little flex in
them.
them.
So, and they're light, I mean, the front end, you can pick up with your pinky, even when I was 10 years, they don't weigh nothing. So it was a lot more finicky than, you know, especially at the time going, you know, 520s, but, you know,
And then
20
Dylan,
straight.
were you hooked or an adrenaline rush? What did you ask
Yeah,
him?
well, the first pass in that car, I took off, and it was, dang, this is fun. and then you about crap your pants when it tries to do this, you know, at 300 foot, making a gear change, and then that's when I kind of got nervous. I was like, crap, am I making a mistake? And went in the right lane and just, I was like, we got this.
I think honestly, when we went down there to Prescott, we wound up not getting to race, it rained out or something. And we had baseball, and he got his learner's permit. I remember he didn't pass the first time, and I said, man, we gotta get this damn learner's permit, so we gotta race, because he missed the first points race. I said, I'm gonna let you drive this purple car, study. He won 6 races or 7?
Well, when I finally got my learner's permit, it was a couple races in, and I did okay. You know, I'm still kind of trying to be consistent, letting off the button. You know, in the junior, you're just foot braking, and I got pretty decent at it. And letting off the button, I was just being real consistent. I'd be pretty good for a couple passes. I'd be late or red. Just getting used to the delay box, and I was doing okay. I think about the end of the race, they had that two-day big race, and I think I runnered up. So, yeah, this is fun. Well, we come back to the New Year's race, is a pretty big race for it's like 2,000 win. I run her up again, and go to the bracket lovers. I think I got down to semis. I just felt like I couldn't get a win, you know. And I just started, you know. I'm having fun.
And he takes it very seriously.
Well, first points race coming. I think I won the first points race. I'm still 14. I won the first points race. I won probably 4 or 5. I ain't done that good in a long time.
You had quite a run.
Yeah. Well, I got third because to this day, besides last weekend, I've not got past third round double points, and you have to do good double points. But and also it was me, it was Danny Rader, John Tripp, and me for the top 3. We were in the semis like every week. And I would win or runner up this and that. I did very well, but I just screwed up double points. Same thing with the next half. I won more races in one year that year than I ever had. I was
You
14
did.
and 15 years old, and I got third place both times because of double points.
He won double points at Prescott. He couldn't believe it. He said, this was a double points race. I said, I won't never tell you what a double points race is again.
First double points I've done.
Now, today y'all racing, and Kurt, your dad, is still racing.
Still competitive.
As still competitive as he can be, and the question is, all three are running in the same class.
Now, is it easy to dodge each other? Is what you're
That's
saying?
what I'm saying.
It
How-
is
I mean,
now
when-
because
when
of the way they
y'all were-
run the classes. It used to be in Centerville, it used to spin the wheel, but like at Prescott and Centerville, and even like if we go off somewhere, which Dan and Kyle get to go off more, like they've already been to I-30, which is Cato Mills, I-30 dragway, it used to be Red River,
Red line.
Red Line, excuse me. You can dodge one another, because, especially at those races, you got 250 entries, but like at Prescott or Centerville where there's 20 to 50 entries, you just go on up there and you know where you know what lane you're gonna go in, you just get a spot between each other, or you know, if I wanna run the right lane, I wanna run the left.
Make somebody go up there when they first call.
Yeah, call it, you know. But there's been times we've had to run each other, and the razzle starts pretty good.
And that's what I was going to say is, has Lonnie got most of the bragging rights on all those? When y'all meet head to head?
Probably on me, but not on Kyle.
Okay.
Dad
one time,
usually
I'll
gets
tell you
really,
this.
for some reason, he gets really tough on me. I mean, I go up there and I know what he's been doing all day, and I go up there and I say, well, okay, I gotta be like this or better. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of times I ain't told him, I said, I use him as a practice man, I might change my game up. Like, because Kyle has made my racing better. I used to be a straight dial racer, if people know what that is. I'm talking about what the car you think is gonna run perfect every time. And I don't race like that no more. Now, Kyle was telling me, you gotta step your game up. I mean, this is 2015 back then or whatever, that, you know, you're racing like it's 1995 still, and it's getting you. I couldn't, and I think honestly, around 2009 or even a little bit later than that is I could always do good. Like I said before, I had those 9 runner-ups to Dad out of 11, and I just couldn't ever seal the deal. Sometimes I'd get up there and just screw the pooch, I guess you'd say. And I started changing where I was trying to dial too tight all the time. Especially you can't do it at certain tracks. You can't try to dial that tight because it's not going to repeat like that. So I had to learn how to start holding numbers a little bit sometimes when I need to, or knowing when I'm running somebody like Chad that's dialed 7 flat. You know, sometimes I need to be dialed tight because I'm not going to be able to judge that finish line. He's really
You gotta change it up on some people, like, especially local, you know, you run the same people a lot, you know what to do. Like, local, you can dial pretty much honest a lot of the time, and it'll be
Honest.
okay. And a lot of times not, you just gotta know who you're running. And when you go, especially off somewhere, when you got so much of a pool to pick from, you'll kinda know who you're running or this and that, and you gotta change up the look for them, because if you sit there and hold dial honest next to them, and then they already know what they need to do.
He
If
had
you
to-
change the look up on
And
your
that,
side,
yeah,
it changes
that
both
makes an
sides.
interesting question here that I want to ask Jimmy. Back when bracket racing started, what was the strategies that were used back then when we didn't have as accurate a timing systems and Christmas trees as what we have today? What strategies did y'all play back then?
Man, I don't know.
Cheat, leave early.
Leave before the flag.
Yeah, I don't know. It's basically like it is now, only it was
But
just-
I mean, did you pay a lot of, did you guys from bracket racing, did you pay a lot of attention to your competition?
Yes, you definitely
I mean-
knew what to do, and this guy he's running, or this guy, you know. Yeah, you
I
got.
mean, when it was something new, I just didn't know if y'all caught on quick to the same analogies
Yeah, it
of what
didn't take
these
you
guys.
long, it didn't take you long, you just sit there and watch what's going on, and, you know.
But I guess it was a learning curve for everybody
Oh, yeah,
when it started.
yes, yes.
Usually Kyle has no problems running with he runs. He staged first or second, but this is a story about dial-ins. I tell you, we got a pretty good friend that races down in Texas, Canada. His name's Cole Chapman. I'm gonna let Kyle tell this story. They were down there at I-30, and Kyle knows how he races.
Well, I was at
How's
I-30, this is, it was
Is that Brian's son?
Brian Chapman,
Yeah.
yes.
And, he's out of Texarkana, race him all the time at Prescott Light. He don't come as much as he used to, and I've been watching him, you know, I know him, I like to see him win, you know, talk to him. And I've been seeing him run all day, and I'd see a guy sit there in red light next to him, and he'd just sit there and show his hand, and he's running 600 a dial. And I know what it's running, and I see they were doubling his car with his buddy. And, well, I go up there and I pull up next to him. We're sitting in the lanes. I'm wanting to see what he's going to put on the car, doesn't what I want to put on the car. Because if he's going to hold 6, I'll hold like 4, or maybe 3, or, you know, just change. So,
Change the look.
We're just both sitting there. He's waiting on my dial in, I'm waiting on his dial in. Well, they wound up making us pull out. And so I said, well, I'll just hold a couple, maybe 3. I was probably holding about 2.5 numbers, and he wound up holding like probably 5. And
That's a tunnel.
it was a left pedal fast on the end of the finish line, and I got the good end of it, but it just kind of shows certain people you got to know what to do with them to try to get the win. 'Cause if I sit there and I dial, well, one thing, my lights weren't real good that day, so I was using to have enough in my pocket on the dial end to make up for that light, and hopefully they're running under to make it look like I'm not late, more
Yeah.
or less. And so
That's something he's taught me too about that. That made me better.
So I had enough, and you know, I was like 20 something on the tree, and he was a little bit better, and I made it look all right. And we didn't go 130 mile an hour both of us, and I got the good end of it. He was, but it just kind of shows, like, say I was a dial honest. Say I'm running a 65, and I put a 65 on it, and I'm 20 something on the tree.
There's
You
200s.
I got a 20-something thousands package when he was 10 on the tree and could have went down there and put a wheel on me and take 10 at the stripe and beat me easily. So,
Yeah.
Which, you know, and I tell people all the time, especially in bracket style drag racing, that psychology is a lot of the sport, and they don't understand that, and you wouldn't unless, you know, you're out there involved.
Oh yeah, you can be beating the lanes.
You can't be beaten. You can pull up in the lanes wrong too. Dad hates that when he goes up there and he's 008, dead 3, and the other guy's just a thou better. He gets that boy. He eats him. I can pull in the lanes different. This is the way it is. You know.
Now, I'm going to ask a question here. I'm going to play Heath Taylor just a second. He usually asks the tough questions, but I'm going to ask one tonight. And I'm going to kind of put the Kyle on the spot. I'm going to do Heath's job tonight. You obviously sitting here, you know, with a lot of drag racing experience surrounding you with your dad and your grandfather. You're at the track, and y'all are mulling. You kind of in a situation need a little advice before the next round.
Yeah.
And obviously he's got an opinion, whether it be wrong.
He ain't asking.
Most of the time, and your grandfather's over here probably. Whose advice are you generally going to take?
Jalen's.
I don't know. It kind of depends when I'm kind of more or less asking what the track's doing.
Yeah.
I could ask either one of them, you know, what does 60 foot do? Especially when it's very cold and the track's wanting to go away or this and that. I want to know what my 60 foot's going to look like. You know, on the weather-wise, it's kind of hard to ask him that question. Now, alcohol's not going to run as better. I could just ask him what he ran. He might not be thinking I'm asking what he's advice, but I kind of am. What do you run? Because he's running gas, I'm running gas. I'll know what the weather might have done that way.
And I asked that just to beat up on Kurt a little bit.
Yeah.
Here tonight, so.
Oh, he don't take it. You know, I'm a dummy. And he honestly, I mean, sometimes, he's right.
A lot of times on that situation, I'm usually the first one in the lanes. Not the first
He
one,
does.
but because usually I'll have my stuff ready and I can get in the car a lot faster than they can, so I'll just go to the first
Or old.
one. So,
You jump in and out of there like a little squirrel. Well, you talk about that racing thing. We got guys now, and I know some of these guys that's probably watching this tonight. We watch a lot of Motor Mania and things like that, and I was talking to you and Heath about that. We watch a lot of big bracket racers too all the time, because you follow these people, some of them you know. We got guys that we know and guys that we watch race too that you know, they're rocking the hood scoop at 400 feet every pass. Their cars can run low 450s and they're down 68, 65, and they're going down there and taking thousands every pass. These guys are the best in the country. And they do it every round. They hold numbers, they run wide open, they can do it. I don't see how they do
the
it.
big thing that's gotten popular. I wouldn't say it's not never been a thing, but it's really gotten, I'd say in the last 4 years or so, nitrous. You
The
don't think
jug.
nobody wanna
The
run
jug.
nitrous in bracket racing, but there's probably 4 different ways to use nitrous in bracket racing.
Oh, yeah.
Brian Hughes is real good at it.
You know, you can.
Sean Blakely,
You
real
can
good
spray
at
it every pass, make it look,
Both
you
of
can
them.
dial to spray it, you know, stuff like that. You can use it if you're late on light, use it and drop, whatever, but.
Andy Reeves tires to use that.
There's
I read
especially nowadays, holding, it's not as I'd say popular as it used to be with holding numbers, but all these, there's so many different ways to look at a bracket race, I would feel like now than it was back in the day, and he would even tell you that,
Yeah.
than it was back in the day, so everything's getting tougher.
Is a lot of it,
Equipment's
is
way
a lot of
better.
it the technology?
Yes.
Some of it, yeah, but,
Converters, delay boxes,
converters and carburetors and delay boxes,
bump up,
ignition.
bump down, all that kind of stuff. You know, ask Dad how that bump down works, how it can eat you in the butt too. Look at him shaking his head.
He's shaking his head over there.
I used it 4 times, it's killed me 3.
He's won enough races, he's all right with occasionally having a mess up.
I'm looking for a first win in that new car is what I'm looking for. I'm hoping it's coming soon for him. Maybe not this weekend, because me and Kyle want that Iron Man real bad there at Centerville. We'll see.
You gotta get
Lonnie,
that.
I'll call you Buddy to write the article on you winning it, if that's okay, so.
It's gonna be close.
But that brings us to the New Vision Graphics Vision for the Future segment of the show. So Heath, we'll flip it back over to you.
Where we're going?
No, about where these guys are.
No.
I'm going to hell if I don't
Yeah,
take
we're,
it.
for, what are we looking for in the future for Kirk Cunningham? What are we looking for in 2021?
I'm still gonna race local a little bit. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm looking for, in my future, I want a roadster. I want to keep a dragster as usual, but I want a second car to my game. There's a lot of my friends that got 2 cars. I'm just a poor man. I'm a working man. A lot of my bracket racing friends, and not just all of them, they're business owners. And they have a better living than I can. I can probably race a little harder than I do, but I also got to retire. But you know, I got some friends, like we were talking about some of them earlier, they went more. It seems like you can't get no prestige unless you get one of them Wallies. And I've won some track championships, and I want to try to win some more here
Or
locally.
here on Tuesday night too.
Tuesday night tune-up. But Kyle's talked about it. You know, his boss has run some top sportsmen, but Mike Moorhead has also run some super gas stuff. My buddy Dane Ward is running now, top dragster, has done fairly well too. His daughter Jenna, Mike's daughter Jenna, and Dane's daughter Jordan are racing super comp, which Jenna Moorhead got down to the semis at Atlanta. And that just got me more looking at that. That's something I'd like to do. I need to step up my mile-an-hour game to be able to run super comp. I can run it, but to be able to run that game properly, I need to step up like, say, 15 mile an hour, maybe more, 20. That's what I'm looking at. I'm stepping up motor combinations and stuff like that soon. I've been running like that one you're leaning on right there. That motor right there, the short block and stuff like that is probably 15 years old. Those heads were run on Dane Ward's car back in the late 90s. The carburetor's on Greg Brotherton's car in 1995. A lot of people tell me they're full of crap on that. The converter's out of Greg Brotherton's car from the late 90s too. All my used stuff is Greg and Dane's, Jeff Brotherton stuff. But that's my thing. I'd like to be able to still race here local. I would like to, I've had my license, I got my IHRA license, but I'd like to have an NHRA license again, and maybe if Kyle can get away once or twice, or even maybe on my own, I'd like to hit a couple divisional races like close, like Bellarose, Dallas, Tulsa, and try a super comp deal. And maybe not even run for a super comp title, just get a super comp win. Go late in the rounds, do that. And I still like racing local. I know my dad and my son, they like to go to Mocan and I-30, and they like to travel off. I hate the big entry fees, but just like Chris Jones and Kyle says, you can't win them unless you enter them. But them $600 and $800 entry fees is hard on the pocketbook when you only go 1 or 2 rounds. You know, but that's my deal. I like to step into a roadster too. I'd like to do some 6.0, 7.0 like Chad's doing. And then maybe Kyle can drive it, do some foot brake racing. He's done very well in Richard Rose's car last year, foot brake, and I was like I said, like he reminds me of Cody Rogers. He can drag race a tricycle and win. But that's my main deal. Step up my motor program a little bit because car his brand new motor had 2 passes on. He just made 2 licks just to test it and drove. Car I didn't have an extra third number, and I went down there to Prescott and by myself in his brand new car. I made 12 passes in that car, wearing that sucker out with low 460s, and I won that Tinker Green Memorial race. That was real. I was so happy to win that race. Artie's been a good friend, and his dad's been gone, a couple of years now, and it was just a hell of a win. And then go that 460s, I'm like, I've been 460 before in Jeff Brotherton's and John Herring's car, but that car right there, I said, I want to fast now.
First 3
Had a 26 degree, I mean not 23 or 18, it's 26 degree -2 motor, 582, and that sucker has been as fast as a 458. That speaks volumes for Blakely. It made almost true horsepower. It made a click under 1,000, and that sucker runs like it's got more.
Made a lot of torque. It made over 810 of torque.
Same question for you, Kyle. Where are you headed in 2021?
To work.
Yeah. For 2021, I mean, like he says, he don't think I like going local. I love going local. I'll probably always do that. I'm always gonna be a bracket racer. I say that, but what it looks like. I do want a foot brake car.
A Jackson's junker.
Something. I don't care. But something that's competitive. It ain't just real slow where I'm not, but.
Hey, I don't know if you know this, now he goes where we go. He don't got a trailer anymore. He goes where I go, and if he doesn't like where I'm going, he gets in that red car over there, drives it down to Dad's house, which is right down the block, and loads up with Dad. He just tags along.
And that's another thing, I travel, I would want to. I'd like to do it a little bit more,
Okay.
as wallet and job will allow me. That's the only thing holding me up to do that. But I like going local. I want to hit some big money stuff. Just new tracks, people you don't get to see all the time, and tough racing, stuff like that. You just can't beat it. Who don't want to win 20+ grand? So, other than that, I'd love to have a 67 Chevy too.
There you go.
Yeah, probably more likely red, just like that. All red.
He'll be like Mike
Yeah.
or Jordan.
Well, other than crappie fishing and helping him with his car,
That's about it for me.
that's about it for you.
That's it.
And what I
I
understand,
like watching all these boys run.
Right.
And we got all these friends around Greenbrier drag race. Yeah, I'd have just as much fun going to as I would if I was doing it myself.
There's a good group of drag racers over there.
and apparently, Tate, he's crappie fishing in your lake
Yeah,
up there in the
I saw
county.
up there at Blue Mountain, so that's a,
Y'all have
That's a
some
good
fishing
deal.
together.
Yes.
Blue Mountain and Petty Jean River you guys
Yeah.
are fishing in, so that's right there in our neighborhood.
I even done some tournament fishing in a couple of years there. Fished in tournaments. That's pretty decent.
Well, Keith, Tate, where are we going next week?
Next week, we'll be in Batesville at Peyton Taylor's shop. Peyton Taylor, Nick Lawrence, and Richie Tosh.
Oh,
That's gonna be a show, and it's on, I guess, I don't know, especially with Nick Lawrence on there, because, well, we both know how he is.
we know how he is. But again, guys,
It's
we thank
fun
y'all for
getting in here and listening to y'all talk a little bit
I
about
can
drag
talk
racing.
all night.
And and like we said, I could tell at the beginning, when we started talking before the service, I could tell with Kyle just as soon as I started talking to him, You know, he might not say it in front of y'all, but his big thing is all he wants to do is beat you and Lonnie. I done got this all
You don't
figured out.
I don't wanna run. I mean, I'd like to beat him, but you don't wanna run.
There's always somebody that's got your number. Like this year, Andy Reeves has got my number. You know, he didn't have another like last year. This year, it seems like Andy's got me twice. I hope Andy's watching this, because I gave him hell when I got out of the car, how I messed up. But I mean, like Wayne, not like a person that's sticking out my head in 2017, Wayne Trammell out of Yellville. I did not like running him. Like, some people don't want to admit who they don't like to run. I don't care to run anybody normally. You know, there's certain people you don't want to pull. Like, I don't like pulling up next to Chad, but Chad's ass, he'll pull up next to you all the time, first, second round. I'm like, Chad, come on, but I thought we were friends. You know, but there's somebody like Wayne Trammell in 2018 had my number. I could not get around Wayne. First round, second round, it didn't matter what round it was. Semis, it didn't matter. Like this year, I've gotten the better hand on Wayne. Like Robin, he pulled up when I won the race 2 weeks ago. I runnered up in the Brecken Memorial race. I kind of messed that up against Steve Johnson out of Yellville, and I came back the next day, and Wayne pulled up next to me, and my wife pulled up next to me, and I said, "Oh, he done screwed up." I said, "I'm busting his butt today," and I laid a pack on him. I mean, he knew about it, and I went on to run Gary Rimmer in the final there, and I normally don't do it with friends. Even with friends, Ronnie Clendenin, I tell you, I said, well, I went up there and I said, I've been wanting Gary to get a win. I run Gary last year, and I said, Gary, I said, the best thing you could do is shove me in the left lane. I said, I ain't running the left lane all day. And he's run back, he shoved me in the left lane. Lo and behold, I hated old Gary's car. I'd like to run Dad in the final a few more times. It's been a couple years. I'd like to get Dad in the final. Maybe Kyle later on, but right now.
We ran in the final one time.
No, it's 3.
Me and you?
Yeah, you got me 3 times.
Well, guys, it's been great visiting with y'all. Our production manager over there is about to give us the old sheet. And, but anyway, like I said, we appreciate having y'all, letting us come up here tonight. And again, we want to thank Chambers Bank, 28 locations in Arkansas. We want to thank True Grit Auction Company, KR Performance Fuels out of Texas. Sorry about that, Kevin. And we want to thank Skyway Buick GMC up in Joplin, Missouri, and our local sponsors, Western Petroleum, 4-Place Speed and Muffler Shop, Ecky's Parts and Accessories in Little Rock, Arkansas, and Straight Line Transmissions right here in Greenbrier, Arkansas. And like I say, we're doing a drag racing show tonight. We got to do a pitch out to Centerville Dragway, Wayne and Patty Stiles, and Jackie Lewis down at Prescott Raceway. So for Heath Tate, Jimmy Havens, Kyle Cunningham, and Kirk Cunningham, and the poor guy that got beat up all night that's standing in the background, Lonnie Cunningham. We appreciate all of them, and we'll see you back next week from Batesville, Arkansas.